Right, we're going to build on what I think has been a couple of excellent presentations. Oh, hello. Calm down. We're going to build on what I think has been a couple of excellent presentations by Elisa, by Marco earlier today on AI, and we're going to tackle this knotty subject of how is AI going to transform commercial and medical. So, just a small subject for 20 minutes or so. Now, inspired by those, before I ask my panel to introduce themselves, I thought we could invite a fifth panelist just to help fill the time, and that fifth panelist is Microsoft Copilot. So we're going to ask Microsoft Copilot if we can bring up the screen. Is that me?
Might be me.
Nobody heavy breathe, okay? Let's go with it. We're going to ask it this question of how it thinks AI is going to transform commercial and medical. We'll leave that up. You can see it's already done it. That's how quick it is. This will blow your mind if you've not seen it before. We'll leave that up and we'll see whether our panel agrees with what it's saying or not. But let me allow our panel to introduce themselves. I'll try and not move in case it's me. Are we going to do a quick mic check? Bear with us. It's Chris. It has to be Chris. We finally found a way of stopping Chris talking, everybody. Sorry. So I'm going to let my panel introduce themselves, and I'd love them to say a bit about their role and how they're already seeing AI is impacting their role. And Mike, you first of all, and thank you for stepping in, by the way, because I know this was a last-minute thing to you, but as Davidek said, you are an upgrade, no pressure. So please introduce yourself and tell me about AI.
Thank you, and hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Mike Williamson. I'm from the United States of America. You can probably tell by my accent. But I live in Basel, Switzerland. And I've lived there for the last 2 years, and I'm really enjoying and loving Basel itself and what it has to offer. So I have a long title, but I'm just going to share with you very quickly my favorite title. My favorite title is Dad. I am a father of 4 daughters and a happy husband. So that's my everyday role. Thank you. I'd like to add that I'm human as well. And then the other role that I have is that I am our Interim global head of digital strategy for Roche. And it would only be right just to let you all know that there's a dream team here supporting me as well today. So I just want to give a quick shout out to my team in the back. Thank you. And what we do is we build out with our disease area teams and stakeholders, both digital online and also offline interactions to make sure that we're spreading the best and most important customer experience through an integrated, targeted approach. So that's what we do in a nutshell. And then very quickly, the way AI is impacting that is we're really moving farther and faster together with AI. And we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way, not just doing things right. All right? And so specifically speaking, we're looking at different ways of integrating data, big data, and turning it into very specific elements of targeting and how we keep segmentation across our customer base. Really integrating our integrated customer experience so that we can take those delivery modules and go back and make sure we're looking at our business outcomes that we built together with our disease area teams. So I know I don't have much time, but I just wanted to at least introduce myself and really walk through kind of what we're doing at a very high level, and would love to come back and revisit that some more. I'll pass it to the next person.
Thank you, Mike. And knowing now that you've got 4 daughters at home explains why you're so keen to be here, because you get a chance to speak and share your views. Thank you for that. Loucif, I'm going to come to you next. Again, please introduce yourself and how you're seeing AI impact your role.
Hi, everyone. Really a pleasure to be here. My name is Loucif Ouyahia. I head up the digital healthcare at Jazz Pharmaceuticals. New role with Jazz Pharmaceuticals, and AI is everywhere and impacting all functions. If I have to mention 2 main reasons why AI is extremely important, just not nice to have, but a pillar for our strategy. The first one is the increasing workload, especially for mid-sized companies like mine. We need to do a lot with similar flat resources and even less resources in general. And the need for a higher expectation in terms of efficiency. That's extremely important to have this option. This is not only the only option, but AI is extremely helpful. Extremely helpful for, just to mention some examples, medical information, all about call centers and having people responding to questions all the day, maybe thinking AI may help. Medical education, creating, for example, contains, plain language contains for our patients. MSLs, impacts, digital opinion leaders, KOL engagement, extremely important to use the AI for identification and activation of digital opinion leaders.
Thank you, Loucif. And Chris, I'm going to come to you next because we've got 3 people sat within Pharma. You, of course, are sat outside. So again, introduce yourself and what's your perspective here?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Wade, AVP Strategic Solutions at Exeevo. We're really proud to be a gold sponsor of Next Pharma, and obviously huge thanks to Dario and Petra and all the Next team for what they've built and what they've created. What we do at Exeevo is we're building next generation customer engagement platforms. We partner with Microsoft. Our solutions are built on the Microsoft AI and BizApps Cloud. And we're really focused on how do we go from CRM as we know it, which has always been about effectively a single part of the business, supporting sales, supporting the field organization, to actually how do you operate as a business? How do you, as we've seen and heard in every session, this is changing. AI is changing how we operate as organizations. So you can't highlight one particular facet of customer activity. It's as much about how we can change how we operate internally as it is about how we engage. And I think that's one of the really fascinating things and shifts we're seeing from, say, last year's sessions, which was we don't really know what it's going to be, to we're starting to see those early green shoots of pilots and experiments and efforts to innovate around not just what we're doing with customers, but I think more importantly about how we change how we operate internally so we're better able to identify new types of customers, new ways of working, because we're all under pressure for change. I think probably many of the organizations in this room either have had, are having, or probably will have very soon another wave of restructure, another wave of change. So, this has got to help us, work better and work faster.
Yeah, certainties in life, death, taxes,
Yeah.
and restructure within Big Pharma. Sam, last but not least, I'm going to come to you again. Please introduce yourself and say what you're seeing with AI and GSK.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Sam Pinner. I lead digital transformation at GSK across region Europe. I think my role personally, I was very fortunate to be one of the early adopters for Copilot. So I've had it for about 9 months. I actually use that probably, I'd say, every other day, and that's added a lot of value to my role and some of the alleviation of some of the admin tasks, finding files, taking meeting notes, for example. What I'm seeing in the business sense, really, we've got focus on maybe 3 or 4 different areas of artificial intelligence. The first one will be sort of looking at rep effectiveness. So for our field force, for our sales and marketing teams, how can we improve their effectiveness in the field with sort of call recording to be able to provide coaching back and insights back to the sales representative or the MSL. We're also looking at sort of generating content. And when we're looking at using other platforms within our systems, such as a customer data platform, we realize we can produce very great segmentation, but then to feed those segments, we need personalized content. And the only real way to do that at scale is to use some of the generative AI power, which then creates another problem, which is the approval of that content. So that's really our sort of 3 areas of focus. And I would say for me personally and my team, AI and Gen AI is probably a topic of conversation every single day, every email, every call. There is something in there with AI.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting that for quite different answers that you've come back with in terms of how you're seeing it transform, and of course it can do so much, the real question is where is the greatest value? And I heard somebody recently talk about AI, a chap from Microsoft. He said, are you just inventing a faster horse, or is it something that's genuinely going to drive change? So we asked this question of Microsoft Copilot. The good news for you guys is it's been quite high level. We could have dived in a bit more, but it's given a kind of overview of how it could transform. But if we dive into the commercial and medical space, I'd love to get your thoughts around where it's most going to transform in the next few years. And are we going to see big shifts in how we operate because of it? Mike, I'm going to come back to you first on this one.
Sure. I mean, a majority of it was said earlier today. I mean, I do think we're going to see some shifts. I don't know how major they're going to be, but even what some of the speakers said earlier, people first. I mean, our approach is really making sure that, you know, AI is being used to help us move farther and faster, right? Everyone has heard the saying, if you want to move fast, go alone. If you want to move, you know, farther, go together. Well, we're looking at it as don't be scared. Don't have that FOBO. Understand that AI and Gen AI is going to take us further and faster. Embrace it, right? And so for me, and, you know, for the company, the way we're looking at it is, yes, there will be a shift, but we have to make sure the training and the capabilities of our team, of our people that are in place, are there. And that's been, I will say it's been an up and down thing because, I mean, our team, we really are focusing on getting those insights together to be able to drive those great experiences. You have to make sure you don't forget about capability building and change management. The change management piece is critical and crucial, and sometimes it's lacking. So we have a great opportunity there, I think, in an industry, but then I know for a fact on the inside where I am, we have a great opportunity from a capabilities perspective.
And it's a great point, and we'll dive back into that because, like anything, the technology on its own is not going to do very much without everything else around it. But just again, to get the perspective of where we think it's most going to drive change, and Sam, I'm going to come to you on this. I mean, as I said, it can do so many things. As you look within GSK in the next few years, where do you think it's most going to transform how you're operating?
I think it's being used across the business all the way through from R&D to supply chain. My strongest optics, let's say, are in the commercial and medical space. And there, I think it's the use cases we've highlighted. It's the content generation, the approval, and MLR process. But then for me personally, I've got a lot of experience with the sales force. And I think there's an awful lot of insights generation that the sales reps, they know. They speak with healthcare professionals day in, day out. They ask the questions. They gather the information. Not all of that goes into the CRM system. So there's a lot of knowledge which is floating amongst the sales force. And I think with some of the technologies we're putting in place now, we'll be able to garner that information, that data, form some insights which will then gauge and guide the future customer engagement. So I think there are areas across the business where this is really going to make a big difference.
Yep.
In particular, maybe call planning. Being able to, I think it's quite subjective really, down to the representatives. Do they accept what's on the call plan and follow it because it's been a data-driven model that's generated it, or do they look at it and say, actually, no, I know better as the rep of 20 years on this territory, they're not the right customers, so I'm going to go and see the people I want to. So I think to your point, it's definitely around that change management and making sure people trust and buy into not just the data, but the way it's been generated.
Yeah.
It's not just a black box, but actually comes up with something that's meaningful and something that people are going to interact with and use as it's designed to be used.
And on that people aspect, we've heard already here today that age-old argument of people versus AI. AI, is it going to replace? Loucif, I'll bring that to you with this concept of where are we going, field force, other people. Is it going to replace people, or how is it going to change how they're operating?
Yeah, first, I fully echo what Michael and Sam just shared about the importance of AI. Personally, I don't believe that AI will replace people because we need this expertise. We need people expertise, as Elisa mentioned just before our panel. I believe AI may strengthen the collaboration between commercial and medical. Especially a good example is the field, our MSLs and sales representatives. It's extremely important to have this work in a hand-to-hand between both functions. And AI may facilitate, because the discussion about having one function for medical and commercial or having two separate functions, I heard this discussion 17 years ago, and it's still under discussion. And AI may help us, especially for insight generation, insight triage, and translation into actions. That's the most important. And both may use AI for insight generation. And the final goal, as you know all, is serving our patients and HCPs from the insight into actions. I think that's a good example of collaboration using AI.
So at this stage, you don't see fundamental structural changes. You see it as being additive to what we have.
Yeah, exactly.
So Chris, I'm going to come to you last because, you're the one sitting outside Pharma. You can possibly be more provocative, brutal if you see there are going to be big cuts and big changes. Do you see that happening? And if so, where?
I take a slightly different view to, the sort of additive model. I think AI will be the engine of change in our organizations. It will actually help us to change because it helps to not just about, we tend to think about it in terms of examples of either functions that we want to improve or automate or current capabilities, things we do today, and how could we do that better with AI. One of the, some of the big challenges we have, so compliance is never very far away. Compliance is a set of rules, a set of precedents and interpretations that can be codified. You can use that as the basis for assessing what can and can't be shared and helping to break down, I guess, some of the kind of urban myths around, around what is okay to potentially share between medical and commercial or vice versa. Because frankly, where we are today, and I've been doing this for 20-odd years, 20 years ago, we were still talking about the separation of commercial and medical and why this was an artificial barrier that was essentially created and enforced by our organizations around protecting empire than about real concerns for the customer, for patients. And AI helps us to address where those risks lie. If we're thinking about creating content, what is the risk in that content? Is it in line with what we've previously approved? Is it different? And how is it different? And is that a big enough risk to say, actually put that to the side, that needs to go through a manual review process, or is it something which actually we can essentially assemble and distribute in real time? And it's all of these things. You can look at it how it applies to content. You can definitely look how it applies to data. Because at the moment, we are kind of locked into a model where we've got silos of data, CRM being a classic one. Data is invariably highly biased because it's about target customers, very poor quality because it's based on the very limited amount of information we actually capture in a call. Look at what your reps are asked to record. It's often very little more than a couple of checkboxes, maybe some key messages. There's very little value in that. Look at what medical information gather. They're getting voice of the customer. Yet we choose to lock that into one silo and not to make those insights available and usable to how we want to work in other parts of the organization. So I do see it as this is a foundational change. This will define how modern organizations over the next, really, I suppose, 3 to 5 years are going to transform and change. So this, we'll be having a very different conversation in 5 years' time, maybe not in 6 months' time.
Yeah, and the whole topic of should we still have medical and marketing is possibly bigger than the 2.5 minutes we've got left. Maybe one for lunch or drinks later on. But while we've still got you here, I do want people to take away some kind of practical advice based on what you've seen around, to your point, Mike, the change management piece. You can't just throw AI in there and expect it to solve things. There's people involved, there are processes. So if you can give me sort of quick sound bites on what are the most important things you think companies need to do beyond the AI tech itself to make it work. I'll come to you on this, Mike.
Yeah, I'm actually going to repeat something that I think it was Mustafa, I believe. I'm sorry if I butchered his name, but he mentioned earlier, and it was spot on. Really need to focus on the people that we have, whether it's commercial, medical, both, and that mindset. You have to start with the mindset, focus then on a skill set, and then the tool set will come. We're already working on the tool set on the back end. But I mean, the piece to me that's so important is making sure that we're on the same page, we're aligned, we understand the direction, not only of the company, the North Star, but also the direction of the teams, whatever level, wherever you sit. Once that mindset is in place, then it moves into the change management around skill set. And we're working on that now. I have a great team member in the back of the room there who's partnering with us in doing this. And then the tool set, like I said, will come. But focusing on those 3 areas, I believe, are going to really help us move together as a team towards that North Star.
Thank you. Sam?
I think just applying AI to the right business problems and knowing when to say no. Just because someone's got enthusiasm for it, they might not need a $100,000 GPT model to solve a very simple business problem that an Excel spreadsheet could solve. So I think it's just making sure it's put behind the right applications.
Yeah, good shout. Loucif?
Yeah, I fully echo Michael and Sam on the needs for Pharma. I see that we need to invest a lot in people and expertise. That's extremely important to bring the right people, the right expertise, to invest in technology. I mean, like most of pharma, mid-sized companies don't have abilities in-house to build AI capabilities. Using this collaboration with external vendors is extremely important. Invest in education, because we need to education. I heard about the why bringing technology and AI. It's extremely important to explain the why and how the AI and other technology will impact people work. That's the pillars where we need to invest in the future.
Yeah. And I'll give you the final word, Chris, noting the crocodiles are still there and we are out of time. But you quick closing comments on this?
I love the comment about choosing technology that's going to help your business now and in the future. Obviously, we're at a quite unique moment. Every company in this room, probably with nearly exception, is facing a choice. You've got a choice between where you've been and where you'd like to be, and I don't think it's too hyperbolic to say you need to make that decision on the basis of AI being a foundational capability of your next generation of customer engagement platform. That's what we're about at Exeevo, and I think that, I hope, it sort of supports the sentiment of the panel. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you to my panel. Do come and speak to these guys during the breaks. Unlike the crocodiles, they don't bite. They'll be happy to chat. But thank you for your time, and thank you again to my panel.
Thank you, Paul.